my name is Abby and welcome to this training. If you don't already know me, I am a fellow teacher of Pathways and I've been teaching with the company for a year now. And in this training, I'm going to walk you through a grade 3 lesson. And the objectives of this training is to give you a better understanding of what's expected of you, the format of a typical grade 3 to grade 4 lesson, and to give you an idea of what's expected of the local teacher, and to give you some tips and advice of how to teach these lessons, and to boost your confidence up if you are a bit unsure of what to do. So here it goes. Now, for every lesson, there is a lesson plan. So please read the lesson plan. To access the lesson plan, you can go into the actual lesson before. So, for example, your lesson's booked a week in advance. You go into class in and you've got a lesson next Monday. You go into that lesson. So there's a little prepare box. Click on the prepare box and it will go into the lesson, okay? And the materials are there for you. So you'll enter into the classroom like this and you'll go to the cloud and you'll have hopefully just a couple of files there for you. So in this case, I've got to go to my cloud. And the lesson will be there. So we're doing grade 3, so we're doing Bonnie's Friends. Here we go. Place myself here. So this is the lesson plan. Whoops. It's a bit fiddly. There we go. And this gives you basically the step-by-step process of how to teach the lesson. So nice and easy. There is a lot in the lesson plan and we'll go through this now. If you don't have time to read it all, don't worry. The lesson plan is put into the PowerPoint as well. So under the slides, or at the bottom of the slides, there are there's a little lesson plan at the bottom of each slide. You'll see this once we go through it, and it will give you prompts and questions to ask the students. So don't worry if you don't have time to read this, but I highly recommend you reading it beforehand. So let's get going. So analysis of the text. This is just an overview of the story, the lesson, what the students will be taught in the lesson, the sentence structures, key vocabulary. So please read that. This is lesson 1, so it's about greetings. So we have, hey, how are you? Fine, thank you. So please read that to give you an overview of the lesson. We have analysis of the students, which is really interesting. Because it gives you a background of what the students are like or what they've already been taught. So this is a grade 3 lesson, but bear in mind that they are early beginners. They've just begun English lessons. So because they're grade 3, it doesn't mean that they've had lessons in grade 1 and grade 2. Okay, so just take note of that. And they may have only had 5 English lessons, or they may completely be beginner 0. Okay, so I would highly recommend you to look at the analysis of the students just to see what you're going to be teaching, what sort of ability you're going to be teaching. I would, based on this, on my experience, is that not all the grade 3, for example, not all the grade 3 lessons will be the same ability. So if you're teaching a lesson, say, south of China, their ability of English tends to be a lot higher. So they actually might be advanced beginners. Whereas if you go way up north, their English level might be a little bit lower. So they just don't know anything. Okay, so don't go in there and say, oh yeah, I've already taught a grade 3 lesson and not how it goes. Don't have their expectations, okay? It's going to vary. China is huge. And there's so many different schools, okay? So the ability of the class will vary in the grades, all right? These circles are basically showing you the different curriculums. So they'll have their own Chinese English curriculum, and they refer it as PEP textbook. And then there's the Pathways curriculum as well. And it's just to see what overlaps in both of them. So in their own books, you can see they're learning ruler, eraser, and all that sort of stuff. And then this is what we're teaching them. Now, this is the overlap. So this is what they've been taught in both their English books and the pathways. So you can see they've done greetings, hello, hi, my name is. Okay, so this is what they should have already covered or will be covering, which is a good, this gives you a good idea, you know, what they've been being taught by their own Chinese English teacher. You have the objectives as well of the class. And then you come down to these flowcharts, and there are 4 parts. Pre-reading, local teacher. Local teacher meaning Chinese teacher. This is 8 minutes. So before you enter the class, the Chinese or local teacher will have prepared the students for the lesson. They'll go through, you know, the cover, they'll sing songs, the cover meaning the book cover or the story cover. And they fast read, so they actually go through the story before you enter the class. And then the foreign teacher, that's us. So we're known as the foreign teacher or the online teacher. And this is the while reading. 20 minutes for this section, and there are 3 sections with that. Interactions between, it says CT, I think that means local teacher or class teacher, and then FT meaning foreign teacher, which is us. Picture walk, that means we go through the story with them, role play and all that sort of stuff. And interactions between foreign teacher and the students, there are some activities we do with them. And then for 10 minutes we do a post reading, which there are more activities with that. So this has changed from last semester for the older teachers. From last semester, we're now doing post reading. And then there's summary. This is done by the local teacher. So we exit the class and then they do a quick summary at the end. And this is the breakdown of the class. Now, if you're very restricted with time, you don't have time to go through all of that, then zoom down to this part. Okay, so this is the really critical part of the lesson plan. So you get to see what is involved in teaching this lesson. So you have the local teacher here, so this is their bit. I would highly recommend you reading this because you need to know how they prep the students and what the students should already know before you enter the class. Okay, bearing in mind you are team teaching. Okay, so you need to know what the local teacher's doing as well. So yeah, you can have a read of that in your own time. And then you come down to this, which is the foreign teacher, which is us. Now, if you're very, very restricted with time, then you can just zoom down to this part, which is your part. I want to really highlight this, which is the greetings of this, particularly this lesson. We're doing greetings. We want to create a good rapport with the local teacher. We're a team now. Okay, we need to be working well, have a good flow with each other in the class. And so we really want to create a good rapport. So the first time you enter your new class with your new students and your new teacher, you really want to obviously say hello to the students, but say hello to the local teacher as well. So particularly with this lesson, because we want to demonstrate to the students greetings. Okay, so it's a bit of a role play demonstration for them as well. So we say, hello students, they're usually really happy to see you, like, hey, hello teacher. And I usually ask them, how are you? And sometimes they may not understand what that means. Don't worry about it, but hopefully they'll say, I'm fine, thank you. And they may even say, how are you? And then you would, greet the local teacher. Hello teacher. Now, if you know their name, hello teacher Emma, hello teacher Simon, or whatever. Don't worry if you don't know their names. I would just say hello teacher. And hopefully they'll say hello Abby or hello teacher Abby or something. And I'll ask, oh, what's your name? And they hopefully say, well, my name's Emma. And they may say, what's your name? And say, oh, my name is Abby. Okay, so this just demonstrates the greetings for this lesson. It may not go exactly like that, but just create something along those lines. But every time you enter the classroom, please greet the local teacher as well as the students, and this will create good rapport and build a good relationship. Okay. And then we have the picture walk. This just means going through the story with them and role playing it out with them. Ignore the green highlighted stuff. You don't need to worry about that. So yeah, you can read this in your own time. There's a lot of text in there. There are questions that go with each slide. The questions are below each slide as well as you go through the PowerPoint, so don't worry, you don't need to memorize them. Some of the questions may be a bit advanced for the beginners. Now, what they want to do with the idea of these questions is to sort of push the students, particularly with the advanced beginners. So you've got to read the class. We're all experienced teachers. We understand the dynamic of different classes, and you've just kind of, when you go into the class, usually the first minute or so, you get to know the class ability, okay? So if they're completely beginner, then simple sentence structures and repetition, okay? Keep it simple. If they're a little bit more advanced, then mix it up. Ask different questions, experiment, okay? So this is not concrete. The questions in the lesson plan aren't concrete. You don't have to ask them. Okay, it gives you guidance and you have the flexibility to change them or do what feels right for the class. Okay, this is student-centered. It needs to be student-centered. Okay, teach for the students. All right. And okay, so this part of the lesson, it breaks it down into groups. So we do group work with the students, and there's a step-by-step guidance with the group work. And then we have interactions between foreign teacher and students. So there are some activities there. And then there is post-reading, which again is broken down step by step. It's pretty thorough, which is good. It gives you a really good idea. And then we have watch the video and opinions. So there actually is a lot of content within this lesson. The lessons last 30 minutes. So there's a lot to get through. And particularly with beginners, it's a slow process, right? I mean, put yourself in, their shoes. When you're learning a different language, I used to live in Thailand, so I used to have Thai lessons, and wow, I was pretty slow at learning it. So just bear in mind that they are beginners. It's a gradual process. Some of them may be completely zero ability in English. So, just take your time with it. So this is not concrete. If you can't fit all the activities in, don't worry about it. Okay, but make sure that you do fully understand what's expected of you from each activity. And when you enter the class, you might have to change things up while you're in the class. Okay, so you've got to use your initiative. So that's the lesson plan. Please read it thoroughly. If you don't have time, don't worry. The parts of the lesson plan is in the PowerPoint, but I would highly recommend you just reading it through, particularly if you're a new teacher. Okay, let's exit that. So we're going to go into the actual PowerPoint. Bonnie's friends. So this is lesson 1. So many of you will probably teach this. So we have objectives of the lesson. So again, it's an overview of what's expected from the lesson. It will jog your memory. And then you have the local teachers' slides. This is what they will be teaching the students before you enter the class. So you need to skip through them. And then you want to start on this slide here. What I usually do, you have 20 minutes before the class begins. You have 20 minutes to enter the class. There's a 20-minute countdown before the class. So you can enter the classroom, set up your PowerPoint, and then exit the classroom and then re-enter 5 minutes before. It's completely up to you. You might want to enter 20 minutes before and just stay there, or cover your camera. It's up to you. But what I usually do 20 minutes before I go into the classroom, I set up the PowerPoint, re-jog my memory of what's going on with the lesson plan, get all my props ready, and then I exit the class, and then I re-enter 5 minutes before. Okay? So with this, it's greetings. So hello, and and greet your students, greet the local teacher, and then you begin. So what I usually do is I ask, "Are you ready?" And they usually say, "Yeah," or "Let's go," or something like that. Okay, I always ask that. That just makes sure that all the students are all on the same page and they're not looking up here or looking down here or whatever. I want them to be all focused on me. And so yeah, I always ask, "Are you ready?" And always use some TPR. Okay, this will just indicate hopefully to them that, okay, that means ready, let's go, sort of thing. And I just go, let's go. Okay, I really encourage you to use loads of TPR. Use lots of energy. I know you're sat in your office or whatever by yourself and you might be going absolutely crazy, but I promise you this energy that you're creating in your own office will move through the camera into the classroom. I promise you that, okay? So please be a bundle of energy and smile loads and all that sort of stuff. I know you're going to be very good at that. This is what's needed, particularly in online teaching. You really need that energy, okay? And then we enter the first slide. So this is where I recommend you getting props like this, okay? Finger puppets. I have little hearts saying, "Do you like?" Yeah? Do you like pizza? Or do you like rabbits or whatever? Please use props. I have color cards as well. If I'm trying to elicit a color out of them and they're a bit stuck with what to say. And then stuff like this, an apple is pretty good. This is actually a plastic apple. I have a toy as well, stuff like that. Emotions, how are they feeling? Happy, sad. And little things like this. So go on eBay, go on Lazada, Amazon, whatever. These are actually made in China, ironically. And they're very cheap and they're so handy. You can get different sets of them. I have a farmer set with farm animals. I have people. These are really handy to have, particularly with role play. And I have stuff like this as well, a tiger's tail, clock, really handy. So, please invest in some props and use the stuff around your house. If the class is about cooking or whatever, get some cooking stuff. This is what's going to make the difference between an okay class and a really good class, all right? So this is the first slide, and as you can see, the teaching plan is at the bottom of here. It's a lot more brief. It gives you questions to ask. So it says to imitate Bonnie's voice. So please use Bonnie here. And I would demonstrate it first. So I'm Bonnie. What's your name? And then you're meant to circle this. And what's his name? And I've got a little hedgehog here. What's his name? Now, if they're beginners, they might look at you like, huh? They might not understand what you're saying at all. Some of them might know. There might be advanced beginners, and sometimes in the classes, you have sort of a near native English speaker. They obviously have some sort of interaction with English language, and they might be shouting out the answers all the time, which is pretty cute and sweet. So you might have one really strong kid in there that knows everything, and they may shout out everything, which is good because it helps the other students to follow with that student. So, but hopefully they'll say, "Oh, it's Henry," but bear in mind that they may not be able to pronounce Henry. It's quite hard to pronounce the English names. So if they just don't know what you're saying, I would just go like this. My name is Henry. And I would then get them to repeat. My name is Henry. And if it's like a bit patchy in areas, I might clap it. My name is Henry. Okay, so they understand, they're saying every part of the sentence, not just parts of the sentence. And you might need to repeat this a few times just to get them going. Particularly, it's the first lesson. So, and they've never had an online teacher. So, it's all going to be very new to them. Again, I would demonstrate it. Hello. And then Henry would say hello. So, I would go, hello. And then get them to repeat it. You might want to repeat it 3 or 4 times. Hello, hello, hello. Just be, get them to do TPR as well, and actions and all that sort of stuff, so they're enjoying themselves. It says down here, Bonnie walks and walks, TPR. So they're wanting you to, so you can pretend that Bonnie's walking, that sort of stuff. She sees Bonnie and says, she sees a duck, and Bonnie says this. So I would do this again. I'm Bonnie. What's your name? I would get them now to repeat this. I'm Bonnie. What's your name? And then I would circle the duck. And then, what's his name? And then I have a duck here. They might say David, they might not, who knows? And then we would repeat, my name is David. And then you get them to repeat it. Okay, so get them into a rhythm. Repeat the sort of same thing and they'll get more confident with it. Okay, if they're advanced and they're flying through it and they're finding it way too easy, then ask different questions. It's the same process, okay? Just do the same process. Get them in a rhythm so they get more confident. Again, same process. This is when they introduce groups. So down here you say group, there's a group 2 and a group 4. In the lesson plan, it says that the local teacher should have already put the children into groups of 4. So I would ask first, teacher, are there students in groups of 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. And they might say no, or they might look at you like, huh? So if they haven't, don't worry, just put them in groups. So I would then ask the teacher, can you put them in groups of 4? And I have these cards. Now I've written team. These are more for the older students. So I probably would actually make another set of cards that say group 1, group 2, and group 3, group 4. So this will help with teaching and indicate to the local teacher, put them in groups. Okay, so put them in groups of 4. Then comprehension check. I'd say group 1, hello group 1. And then hopefully just group 1 will say hello. If they all say hello, then they don't understand what I'm saying. So we need to make sure they understand the groups. Okay, so this is where the local teacher may need to come in and just explain to them, no, just group 1. Okay, so I say, hello group 1, hello group 2, and so on. All right, so that's a comprehension check I would do. And then it says group 2. Now, you might want to start with group 1. You might want to start with group 4. Okay, so this is not concrete. You have flexibility, but it just suggests group 2. So let's just do group 2. Again, I'd say, hello, group 2. And I'm like, hello. And it says, I ask, does Bonnie say hello? If they're completely beginner, they won't know what that means. Okay, they just won't. So you will know by now where they are with the ability. So if they beginner, I would just do this, or I'd say I would circle it. And hopefully they will say, hey. They may not. If they don't, I would say, hey, hey. Okay. So you adapt it to how, the class, the dynamic of the class. And then we have group 4. So we get to group 4. Hello, group 4. And then hello. And then it's asked, what does Hannah say? I mean, if they're advanced beginners, they may know what that means. If they're completely beginner, I wouldn't bother saying it. I would just do this. I would circle it. I'll do that. See if they say it. If they don't, I would say it and they repeat it. That's how I would do that. And the process is repeated. Again, oh no, so we have a different slide here. So again, Bonnie walks and walks. And then we have a mouse. So you get your mouse finger puppet. And she says, I'm Bonnie, what's your name? So for now, I would experiment and I would circle it. And then I'll be like this and see if they can say it themselves. If they can't, you would repeat it. We say it and they repeat it. And then I ask, what's his name? Again, maybe they know it, maybe they don't. Use your initiative, basically. Adapt it to whatever feels good. This is the same process. Group 1 and group 3 now, but it's up to you. You can do whatever groups you want. How are you? So we're introducing new sentences now. So they may need help with this because they may not be able to read. Just bear that in mind. They're completely beginner. So, they might not be able to read either. So same process here. Different groups, group 1 and group 2. Again, it asks, what does Bonnie say? If they don't understand what that means, then I would just circle it and get them to say it themselves. And then we have Peter. Again, we've got a different sentence structure here. How's it going? It's going well. So, so they may need help with this if they can't read or they just don't know really what's going on. So again, just adapt it for the ability. There are different questions down here. Bonnie walks and walks. She sees a hippo. Can you play this? This question is pretty advanced for a beginner class. Can you play this? They probably won't know what that means unless they're advanced beginners. So again, you don't have to ask this question if you don't feel like it's appropriate for the class. But you may want to do some TPR and just circle it and, it's just having some fun with it. I probably wouldn't teach juggling. It's quite a difficult word to teach. And it says she is surprised. So you might want to do surprise, like sort of thing. Act it out, And then we've got groups again, different groups. Pick a group, get them to say, I'm Bonnie, what's your name? Another group saying, my name is Hunter. And then, good to see you. So this is another different sentence structure. So there actually is a lot of different things to teach in this class. So just bear that in mind as well. Imagine if you're being taught a different language. I used to live in Thailand, and when I got taught Thai, first lesson, I'm like, huh? So, there's a lot to take in. And just bear in mind as well, they're not used to seeing the Roman alphabet. It's completely different symbols to them. So it's even more difficult for them to learn. It's like me learning Thai. I can't read any of the Thai letters. And then we move on to group work. So we finished the story now and we've got group work. So again, it's the same process. You would get the group 1, you'd get your prompt card, and then you would say, hello, group 1, and then you would guide them through the activity. So for this, it says students equal Bonnie, teacher equals Hannah. They won't know what that means. It's more for us. And I would circle this with the group and see if they can say it. If they don't know what it is, then we would put this up, see if they know it. If they don't, then I would say it and then they would repeat it. And then I meant to say this. Oh, my name is Hannah. They might repeat that. You never know. And then we move on to this. I would see if they know it. If they don't, I would put it up. If they don't know that, then I would say it. Okay. And it's the same process with all these groups. Different. Okay, it's just the same process. Repetition, get them into a rhythm of what to do. That's what I recommend. And then let's play together. So they probably won't know what that means. So this is the last activity. It's a post-reading activity. It's thoroughly explained in the lesson plan. So here it is. It's a ball activity. So ideally, if you're physically in the classroom with the children, you would demonstrate this yourself, right? And it's a process to break it down and, you know, for them to understand it. Now, there are some technicalities with this and maybe some challenges with these sort of activities, particularly because you're an online teacher and you can't be there with the children, yet you can't explain things to them because they don't know what you're saying. So this is where you really need to communicate with the local teacher and to work well with the local teacher. And technically the local teacher should know what this activity involves because they should have already read the lesson plan. This is why it's important to read the whole lesson plan, including the local teacher and your part as well. So with this, I would get ask the local teacher, can you put them in 2 groups, like group 1 and group 2? And then I would maybe put like group 1 and group 2 or something like that, just to indicate. And then I would probably ask, teacher, do you have a ball? Or do you have 2 balls? And if they don't, it does say in the lesson plan they can use scrunch up paper and they can pass that around or whatever they want to pass around. And the idea of it is that they pass the ball around. So this probably requires the local teacher to translate or get them to do it. I will probably ask the local teacher, okay, can you get the student to pass the ball around like this? And you can see them pass it around. And then I would say, stop. Okay. And hopefully they'll understand stop. And then they're prompted to say their own name. So, I'm Ben. What's your name? Now, this is quite advanced because they're doing it by themselves and they have to say their own name. And they may not even have an English name, or they may even say I'm Bonnie because they've been practicing I'm Bonnie. So this requires the local teacher to help them out as well. And yeah, it's a pretty advanced activity, this is. And then the other group the other student would say, my name is, you know, Cindy or whatever. So as you can see, this, they'll do it again and again and again. So this is quite an advanced activity, and actually it might take some time as well, particularly with organizing the students. There may be up to 40, 50 students in the class. So that's a lot. And they're usually in like rows with like desks, and they can be quite crammed in the class. So getting the kids to stand up and organize themselves and rearrange the class can be a whole process. So please read this activity, and whatever, you'll have different lessons and you'll have different activities. Read the activities, understand what's expected from the activity. And if you feel that the activity is really not appropriate, or it's not appropriate for the ability, basically, if it's too advanced and you think this is just not working, they're not really ready for this yet, Don't worry about it. Just skip the activity. Okay, you need to adjust the lesson for the ability of the class. Okay, it's student centered. Okay, now just bear in mind that this curriculum has been created for classes all over China, so they're not all going to be the same ability for grade 3. Some of them will be advanced beginners, some of them will be completely zero beginners, like don't know anything. Just bear that in mind. So you have to adapt these lessons to the ability of the class. So don't panic if you think, well, this activity is not going to work. They don't know even how to say hello. Don't do the activity. Just skip through it or repeat some of the dialogue. Do what's good for the child or do what's good for the children. Okay, it's about them. All right. So just make it adapt the class for them. So you have that flexibility. You have your own teaching styles, right? So use them. This is not concrete. I'm not saying do it like this, this, and this. Sorry. You have your own spin on it. Okay, bring your personality into the class. Push your energy through that little camera. Try and look at the camera. That's another tip. So a lot of the time you'll look down like this. And you'll look at yourself. I'm looking at myself right now in the little camera box, and you can look, and you might look at the class as well. Now, to really connect with the students, look at the camera. Now, when I started doing this, it felt really weird. I was like, I'm looking at the camera, but it's actually a way of connecting to the children. Are you ready? So imagine you're, talking to someone. You're physically talking to someone. That camera is a person. That camera is the class. Okay. Look at it. Okay. Really be personal with it. So that's another tip of mine. Okay. And that's it. That's you finish the class. So you say, see you next time. And you say bye. Please say bye to the local teacher and thank the local teacher. I usually say, thank you, teacher. If you know their name, thank you, teacher Emma. Again, this creates a good relationship and good rapport with the local teacher. And after this, they carry on with the class. So they finish the class up. And that's it, really. Yeah. So that's for the local teacher. And that's it. So that's my training today. If you have any questions, then I am on WeChat and on Skype. And, just an overview. So I would highly recommend, these are my tips and advice, I'd highly recommend you buying props or finding props around the house or whatever. Oh, another tip is this. I forgot to tell you about it. This is a question. When I ask a question, I show this because they can parrot. So I say, what's your name? And they might say, what's your name? Which might happen at the beginning. If you keep on using this, what's your name? Like, they might understand after a while, oh, she's asking a question. Okay. So this is an idea I got. And please try and use it consistently so they'll understand and they'll get used to it. So this is the tip. And use props. Fun energy, like I said. Look at the camera like I am looking at the camera right now. Create rapport with the local teacher. Greet the local teacher. Talk to the local teacher. Underline words. When you need to focus on things, underline them, circle them, make it clear. Speaking speed. So, make it slow. You're experienced teachers, so you know how to speak to students that don't know a lot of English. Bear in mind your accent. I tend to speak differently when I'm teaching. Pronounce your words correctly, articulate the sounds correctly, get them to focus in what your tongue is doing. Okay, we'll go through that in the phonics training more so, but if they're not pronouncing words correctly in this lesson, listen for how they're pronouncing it. I know it can be difficult online, but you can pick up certain errors they're making, and point out what you're doing with your mouth. Okay, and try not to use sort of slang or anything like that. So they might not understand, but I'm sure you know that because you're a very good teacher. and I believe you can do a very good job. Okay, so that's it. That's my training. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's brought your confidence up, gives you a bit more insight. Just be flexible, bring your own creativity to it, and just have fun with it. All right, and I hope to speak to you very soon. Thank you.